back to Clair de Lune from scratch. Okay, in our previous lesson, we're seeing that one of these measures is quite detailed. So we only looked at a portion of it, and I think that's a good strategy, just to take things a little bit at a time so you don't get too overwhelmed. So let's go ahead, and we're just going to focus the rest of this lesson on that same measure. If you recall, we kind of learned the left-hand notes over here, and then we sort of just recognized, I kind of jumped ahead a bit, and I wanted to show you that the right-hand notes are composed mostly of octaves, notes that are 8-letter notes apart, and that by keeping your hand in a kind of a cookie-cutter shape, you can find them pretty easily, like that, okay? So let's go ahead and let's add the left-hand portion, and then we'll complete filling out the right hand. So let's go back to our notes over here, and in fact, let's do this just to make it a little bit easier. Actually, yeah, that's okay. Let's go back to our previous notes, if you don't mind. So, I asked you first to just practice going from here, okay, and doing that just to get the hang of the left hand and the right hand coming in here. Now, let's go on, and I'm going to do something here. My eye tells me that from here to here is an octave, and that I can kind of fit this whole thing within one hand position if I kind of plan my fingerings out well. And I'll show you what I mean in just a second over here. Let me show you where I'm moving to, okay? So, this is D flat in this opening over here. D flat, E, F. I see that this is an F, which is the same note that we find with our F clef, F on the bottom, okay? And I see that this F, G, A, that's going to be an A flat, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those two notes. It's going to be a little bit weird. I'm going to take those two notes with the 4th and the 5th fingers, okay? So those two notes are going to be taken by fingers number 4 and 5, like that. See that? Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump ahead and take a look at these next two notes. A flat, okay? That's the top line over here. B flat is going to be over here, the next space. C is going to be that climbing that ledger line on the line. So we know that this is a D or a D flat, excuse me. Next ledger line climbs up to E, E flat. Okay? So D flat and F over here are going to be my next two notes, F and D flat. Okay? And I'm going to be taking those two notes with my 1st and 2nd fingers. All right? So A flat, F, F, and D flat. Okay? 4th and 5th, 1 and 2. I want you to see something very important here. Okay? Erase this a little bit just so we can see a little relationship. Do you notice something? Yeah? See that? Ah, these octaves are creeping up everywhere, aren't they? Okay? So what I'm doing this, my brain is telling me, I know I'm going to be able to move my hand into position this way so I can get ready ahead of time for these two notes like this. See that? So from here to here is also an octave from the bottom of these two notes to the top of these two notes. So move your hand accordingly. So here's what I would do. Octave. Now this is going to be a little tricky because your hands are going to be colliding a little bit. But I'm going to be knowing that this thumb is going to be getting ready. So you might want to just start here. See how I'm kind of preparing my hand. My thumb's kind of creeping underneath a little bit. Okay? All right, now let's go ahead and learn the last two notes over here. We see that this is the same as this. So that's a D flat. Okay? Okay, and that top note's going to be D flat. And hey, look at this. This and this, these are the same notes. We saw that this was an A flat over here, right? So that A flat is going to stay in place. If you notice, we're recycling a lot of these notes again, okay? These two notes, and then we're with the remainder of those two notes at the very end over here, and we're going to use a 2 and a 4 to play that. So if you want to practice your left hand alone just to get the hang of that, you can do that. Now you don't have to hold it like I'm holding. I'm just trying to show you the octave relationship here. Okay? So honestly, it's actually pretty comfortable. So the name of the game in this measure is octaves. Okay? So here we go, one more time, and I'm going to just play the right hand with the left hand. Together here. Now together here. Now together here. Okay? And again, if you need a reminder, one of the things I love about digital music is how easy it is to draw bright colors to see where things are lining up, and it doesn't hurt the music. See? See where that lines up? Okay? Now the last step, well, I'll just do it very, very quickly for you, is to add these little notes in the middle of the right hand here. Okay? And just to save time, I'm going to go ahead and show you what they are very quickly. Left hand, this was a D flat here, D, F, A. This is an A flat in the middle. Okay? So the first chord, you add this A flat over here. Now let's go find this note over here. A, B flat, C, D. That's a D flat. Okay? So you want to practice first, perhaps just going from here to here, and add that middle note in the middle. It's actually very comfortable. Okay? Notice you're in the middle black, you have 3 black keys here, bottom with 2 black keys there. Okay? Practice that. All right? Now notice that this note is going to stay as the middle of that next chord. Okay? But instead of using my same finger, well, you could use the same finger if you want, but it might be more comfortable, even though it's the same note, maybe just switch over to a 3 like that. And again, because if you do that, you notice how your hand starts to twist its shape to keep onto that note. I'd rather keep my hands cookie cutter shape stable. So to that effect, I'm going to switch to a 3rd finger on that same note. So once again, let me just kind of clean this up just a little bit. Let's draw out these fingerings. I'm going to use a 2 in the middle here, and then I'm going to have that switched over to a 3. All the while using 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1 on the outer octave note. So let's put it all together. I'm going to play it for you slowly. Watch how this works, okay? You're thinking of my octave here. Now I'm going to switch over here just to preserve that shape. One more time. Okay? And just one last little detail. If you just notice, just keep your eye on the damper pedal. Your right foot should be playing on the far right pedal down there. Take a look at how I move this pedal. Okay? Notice how the sound blends beautifully together. You put it down just a split second after you play the chord here and before the next portions. You can actually hold it all the way through if you want, and it all blends together very beautifully. Let me just play from the previous measure so you can see how the hands move together, and you can also kind of keep an eye on the foot, review the video as necessary. Watch how I move my pedal over here. Okay, here we go. From the previous measure. Cleaning up the sound a little bit there. Changing the pedal, I'm getting ready to the new position. Okay, one more time. Watch carefully. There are several options for pedaling, actually, but here's one more option if you want to be a little more adventurous. Ready? Not really necessary, but it's just another thought if you want to give that a try. Okay, so take your time, one at a time, but most of all, have fun. Okay, I'll see you at the next lesson.